I stared at the boarding pass in my hand, still unable to believe we were finally heading to Bali. After 3 years together and months of planning, Sarah and I were about to start our honeymoon. "You excited, babe?" I asked, settling into my seat beside her. Sarah barely looked up from her phone. "Yeah, sure." Her fingers moved constantly across the screen. I leaned over slightly, trying to see what was so important, but she angled the phone away from me. "Work emergency?" I asked. "Something like that," she muttered, not meeting my eyes. I decided not to push it. Wedding stress was normal, right? I'd worked double shifts for 6 months to afford this trip to the luxury resort in Bali. Every overtime hour had been worth it to see Sarah's face light up when I showed her the booking confirmation. 8 hours later, we landed in paradise. The resort was even more beautiful than the photos. White sand beaches, crystal clear water, and our villa had a perfect view of the ocean. "I need to freshen up," Sarah announced the moment we walked into our room. "Sure, take your time. I'll unpack." She grabbed her phone and disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the shower running, but she was in there for nearly 2 hours. When she finally came out, her hair looked different, not wet like she'd just showered, but styled. Her lipstick was gone too. "Feel better?" I asked. "Much better," she said, avoiding eye contact again. That night, I lay in bed listening to her shower for the 3rd time that day. The sound of running water echoed in the bathroom while I stared at the ceiling, a cold knot forming in my stomach. "Sarah? Yeah? Everything okay? You seem distant." "Just tired from the flight," she called back. "You know how travel affects me." I wanted to believe her, but something felt wrong. This wasn't the Sarah I'd fallen in love with, the woman who can't wait to start our life together. This felt like a stranger wearing my wife's face. The paradise I'd imagined was already starting to crack, and I didn't even know the worst was yet to come. I woke up early on our 2nd day, determined to make this honeymoon special, despite yesterday's weirdness. Sarah was still sleeping, so I decided to surprise her with breakfast in bed from the resort's restaurant. 20 minutes later, I returned with a tray of tropical fruits and fresh pastries, expecting to find my wife awake and grateful. "Sarah?" I called softly, approaching the bathroom door. "I brought breakfast." No answer. I knocked gently. "Babe?" Still nothing. Maybe she'd gone to the balcony for some fresh air. I walked toward the sliding glass doors and heard voices. Sarah's distinctive laugh mixed with a man's deeper voice that made my blood run cold. My heart stopped. I knew that voice. Through the slightly open balcony door, I saw my wife in the arms of David Rodriguez. My best friend since college, the best man at our wedding just a week ago. They were kissing passionately, completely lost in each other. "I can't believe Marcus doesn't suspect anything," Sarah whispered between kisses. David chuckled, running his hands through her hair. "He's so naive. Poor guy worked overtime for months to pay for this resort." "I know," Sarah giggled. "If only he knew he was funding our romantic getaway instead of his honeymoon. Think he'll figure it out?" "Marcus, please. He still thinks I was working late all those nights I was at your place. The man sees what he wants to see." I stood frozen, the breakfast tray trembling in my hands. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical pain I'd ever experienced. Not just my wife, the woman I'd promised to love forever, but David, the man I'd considered a brother since freshman year. "We should be more careful, though," David said. "Just a few more days and we can stop pretending." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. "After the honeymoon, you can divorce him, take half his stuff, and we can be together properly." My legs nearly gave out. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning to destroy my entire life. I quietly backed away from the balcony, my hands shaking uncontrollably as I set the tray down on the dresser. My world had just collapsed, but as I stood there processing their cruel words, something unexpected happened. The shock began transforming into something else, cold, calculated anger. They thought I was naive, stupid, easy to manipulate. I was about to prove them very, very wrong. I spent the rest of that morning pretending everything was normal while my mind raced with plans. When Sarah and David returned from their private moment, I greeted them with a smile. "There you are. I was wondering where everyone went." Sarah kissed my cheek, the same lips that had been on David's face minutes earlier. "Just getting some fresh air, honey." "And I was exploring the resort," David added smoothly. "This place is incredible, man. Thanks for inviting me along." Of course. What are best friends for? I watched them exchange a quick glance, probably amazed by how well their deception was working. Actually, Sarah said, I think I'll spend the afternoon at the spa. I need some relaxation time. Great idea, I replied. David, want to hit the beach? Actually, I was thinking of exploring more of the island, he said quickly. You know, taking photos for Instagram. Perfect, I longed. I'll just relax by the pool then. They thought they were so clever. As soon as they left, undoubtedly heading to some secluded spot, I made my way to the concierge desk. Excuse me, I said to the young woman behind the counter. Her name tag read, Lisa Park. How can I help you, Mr. Chen? I'm having some concerns about my wife and friend. They seem very close. I'm probably being paranoid, but Lisa's expression softened. Your friend and wife do seem quite intimate. I've noticed them together several times when you weren't around. My heart pounded. You've seen them? I'm sorry, but yes. Would you like me to help you understand the situation better? Within an hour, Lisa had provided me with security footage, timestamps, keycard access records, and information about their secret meetings. Every lie, every deception, every moment of betrayal was documented. While they thought they were being romantic, I called my brother Tom back in Chicago. Tom, hypothetically speaking, what happens in a divorce if someone has evidence of adultery? In Illinois, the betrayed spouse typically gets everything, especially with solid proof. Why? Just curious about a case I read online. Well, if someone had video evidence, financial records, witness testimony, that person would own their cheating spouse in court. I smiled for the first time in days. Thanks, brother. As I hung up, a strange calm washed over me. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was becoming the architect of their downfall. The next 3 days were the most challenging acting performance of my life. Every smile at Sarah's fake affection, every laugh at David's jokes, every moment of pretending to believe their ridiculous excuses felt like swallowing poison. But I had a job to do. Marcus seems happier today, Sarah commented as we had breakfast on day 4. Maybe he's finally relaxing, David replied. You know how stressed he gets about work. If only they knew how hard I was working, just not on vacation relaxation. Lisa had become my secret ally, providing security footage that showed David entering our villa multiple times when I was at the gym or beach. She also gave me access to recorded phone conversations from the hotel's business center. David called someone yesterday, Lisa whispered during one of our meetings. He was bragging about finally getting Sarah and how the wedding was just perfect timing. Did you record it? Everything's recorded for security purposes. I can get you a copy. That evening, while Sarah claimed to be getting a massage and David was supposedly hiking, I discovered Sarah had carelessly left her phone charging in our room. My hands shook as I scrolled through her messages with David. 8 months of betrayal unfolded before my eyes. Marcus is working late again tonight. Come over at 9. Sarah, 2 days before our wedding. Can't wait to be alone with you in Bali. Just have to play the loving wife for a few more days. Sarah, the morning of our wedding. He still has no clue. Sometimes I think he's the most naive man alive. Sarah, from our honeymoon villa. David's responses were even worse. Poor Marcus, working so hard while I'm stealing his wife. The irony is perfect. I screenshot everything, my rage building with each message. That night I called Amanda Foster, an investigative journalist Tom had recommended. Ms. Foss. Dear, I have a story you might be interested in. It involves a prominent businessman's daughter caught in a very public adultery scandal. James Williams's daughter, Sarah Williams Chen. You know her father? Everyone in Chicago business circles knows James Williams. If his daughter's caught in a cheating scandal, especially involving her new husband, that's front-page material. Can you provide evidence? Video footage, text messages, witness testimony, financial records, everything you need to destroy their reputations completely. Send me what you have. If it's as solid as you claim, I can make this story go national within 48 hours. By day 5, I had enough evidence to ensure Sarah and David would never recover from what was coming. The naive husband they'd been mocking was about to become their worst nightmare. Our last night in Bali had arrived, and I decided it was time to end this charade. I'd arranged something special through Lisa, a private dinner on the beach for 3 friends to celebrate their friendship. "This is so sweet of you, Marcus," Sarah said as we walked toward the candlelit table on the sand. "What's the occasion?" "I wanted to create a special memory with the 2 people I care about most," I replied, watching David shift uncomfortably. As we sat down, I observed them struggling to hide their intimacy. Sarah kept touching David's hand under the table while he gave her meaningful looks across the flickering candles. "You know," I said, raising my glass, "this trip has been incredibly enlightening. I've discovered things about both of you that I never knew before." They exchanged nervous glances. "Marcus?" David started. "What do you mean?" "I'm glad you asked." I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. "I want to share something beautiful I captured during our trip." I pressed play on the security footage of them kissing on our balcony. The color drained from both their faces as they watched themselves in passionate embrace on my phone screen. "Marcus, I can explain," Sarah stammered. "No need to explain," I interrupted, showing them the screenshots of their text messages. "I have 8 months' worth of explanations right here." David tried to stand up, probably hoping to intimidate me into backing down. "Sit down, David. You're going to want to hear this." He sat. "While you 2 were busy playing house and mocking the naive husband, I was building a case that would impress any prosecutor. Security footage, key card records, witness testimony, recorded phone calls, and of course, your own words planning my destruction." Sarah started crying. "Marcus, please, we can work through this." "Work through 8 months of lies? Work through you planning to divorce me and take half my assets? Work through my best friend bragging about stealing my wife?" "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," David said weakly. "You're right. It was supposed to happen after you'd completely destroyed my life. But here's what's actually going to happen." I leaned forward, my voice steady and cold. "Amanda Foster from the Chicago Tribune is publishing your story tomorrow. Prominent businessman's daughter caught cheating on Honeymoon. Your father's company stock is going to tank, Sarah. Your reputation will be destroyed across social media." Sarah's crying became hysterical. "You can't do this to my family." "You should have thought about your family before you decided to betray your marriage." I turned to David. "Your brother, Carlos, will receive copies of everything tomorrow morning. I'm sure he'll be proud to learn what kind of man his little brother really is." "Oh, and your finance firm? They'll get their copies too." David's face went white. "Marcus, man, please." "You called me naive, stupid, easy to fool. You thought I was working overtime to fund your romantic getaway." I stood up, feeling taller than I'd ever felt before. "But while you were busy betraying me, I was busy planning your destruction." "The divorce papers will be served when we land in Chicago," I continued. "Sarah, you'll get nothing from our marriage except public humiliation. Every asset, every savings account, everything we built together, it's mine now." Sarah grabbed my arm desperately. "I'm sorry. I'll end it with David. We can start over." "You don't get to start over after this level of betrayal. You made your choice. Now live with the consequences." David tried one last manipulation. "This is all Sarah's fault. She seduced me." "And there it is," I laughed. "Watch how quickly honor among thieves disappears." Sarah whirled on David. "How dare you blame me? You pursued me for months." As I walked away from the table, leaving them to destroy each other with accusations and blame, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in days, I could breathe freely. The naive husband was dead. The man walking away was someone entirely different, someone who would never be anyone's fool again. The 8-hour flight back to Chicago felt like the longest journey of my life. Sarah sat beside me, alternating between silent tears and desperate whispers. "Marcus, please say something, anything." I kept my eyes on my book, not acknowledging her presence. "I know I hurt you, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling." "Sarah," I said quietly, still not looking at her, "there is no we anymore. They're hats." "Since been for 8 months." David had changed his seat to the back of the plane, probably trying to distance himself from the inevitable fallout. My phone had been buzzing constantly with notifications. Amanda Foster's article was already generating buzz, and Sarah's father's PR team was in damage control mode. "Mr. Williams is unavailable for comment," I read from one news alert. "His representatives deny knowledge of his daughter's alleged extramarital affair." Sarah saw the screen. You're really going to destroy my entire family over this? I finally looked at her. I didn't destroy your family. You did. The moment you decided betrayal was worth more than loyalty. When we landed at O'Hare, Tom was waiting at the gate with a manila envelope and a knowing smile. You did good, little brother, he said, handing me the divorce papers. Sarah saw the documents and broke down completely. Marcus, please, we can work through this. I made a mistake, but I love you. I studied her face, really looked at her, for what I knew would be the last time as her husband. Sarah, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. 8 months of choices. Every lie, every secret meeting, every moment you laughed at my naivety, those were all choices. But I do love you. No, you don't. You love the security I provided. You love the life I built for us. But you don't love me. If you did, none of this would have happened. David appeared beside us, looking desperate. Marcus, man, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. I handed him an envelope. That's a copy of everything I'm sending to your firm's HR department and your brother Carlos. I figured you'd want to prepare your defense. His hands shook as he took the envelope. You're really going to ruin my career over this? I'm not ruining anything. I'm simply providing accurate information about your character to the people who need to know. David, help me, Sarah pleaded. Tell him this was all a mistake. Are you insane? David snapped. I'm not going down with you. This is your mess. And there it was, the final betrayal. Even between themselves, there was no loyalty. As I walked away with Tom, I heard Sarah calling my name, but I didn't turn back. Rebecca Santos, my coworker, was waiting in the parking garage. She'd offered to drive me home, understanding I'd need support after this ordeal. You okay? She asked gently, studying my face. I took a deep breath and smiled, the first genuine smile I'd had in a week. I will be, I said, and for the first time, I actually believed it. Amanda Foster's article went live at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. By noon, prominent businessman's daughter caught cheating on honeymoon was trending on every social media platform. My phone rang constantly, reporters wanting interviews, friends expressing shock, and Sarah calling to beg me to make it stop. Marcus, please, ask Amanda to retract the story, Sarah sobbed during her 15th call that day. I can't retract the truth, Sarah. You should have thought about consequences before you acted. My father's company stock dropped 12%. You're destroying innocent people. Your father raised a daughter who thinks betrayal is acceptable. Maybe he should examine his parenting choices. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Rebecca knocked on my office door, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She'd been bringing me coffee every morning since I'd returned, staying late to help with projects, basically being the supportive presence I'd desperately needed. How are you holding up? She asked, settling into the chair across from my desk. Better than expected. It's strange. I thought I'd feel devastated, but mostly I feel relieved. You should feel relieved. You escaped something toxic before it could destroy you completely. Her words hit me harder than I expected. You know, I always wondered what you saw in Sarah. You deserved so much better. That evening, my mother called for our daily check-in. Mijo, how are you feeling today? Stronger, Mom. Definitely stronger. Good. Sometimes God removes people from our lives, not as punishment, but as protection. This woman would have destroyed you slowly over years. Now you can rebuild quickly. I never thought of it that way. Trust me, you're going to look back on this as the day your real life began. My father, who rarely discussed emotions, surprised me by taking me to dinner that weekend. Son, I know this hurts now, but you handled this situation like a man. You didn't let them make you a victim, and you didn't let anger make you stupid. I'm proud of you. Thanks, Dad. That means everything. Meanwhile, David's world was imploding even faster than Sarah's. Carlos had publicly disowned him in a Facebook post that went viral in our hometown. I raised my brother to understand honor and loyalty, Carlos wrote. What he did to his best friend is unforgivable. He is no longer welcome in my family or my business. David's finance firm fired him within 48 hours, citing conduct unbecoming of company values. Jennifer Kim, Sarah's best friend, reached out to apologize for not warning me. I told her to end it before the wedding, Jennifer confessed during our coffee meeting. I said you didn't deserve this betrayal, but she claimed she'd handle everything after the honeymoon. I should have told you directly. You were in an impossible position, Jen. I don't blame you. She keeps calling me, begging for help with damage control. I told her she made her bed and now she has to lie in it. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly. With the evidence I'd gathered, Sarah couldn't contest anything. She would receive nothing from our marriage, and her legal fees were mounting daily. 3 weeks after returning from Bali, I realized something profound. The man who'd left for that honeymoon believing in fairy tales had died there. The man who'd returned was stronger, wiser, and completely immune to manipulation. I was finally free. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I was sitting in my favorite coffee shop when Rebecca joined me, sliding a newspaper across the table. Have you seen this? The business section headline read, Williams Company CEO steps down amid family scandal. James Williams resigned from his own company's board, Rebecca continued. Apparently, the scandal affected their reputation so badly that investors demanded he step back. I almost feel bad for him, I said, surprising myself. Almost? He raised a daughter who thought betrayal was acceptable. Actions have consequences for everyone involved. Rebecca smiled, reaching across to touch my hand. We'd been dating officially for 2 months now, and I'd never felt this genuinely happy in a relationship. You know what I love most about you? She said. What? After everything you went through, you could have become bitter and closed off to love. Instead, you became stronger and more open to real partnership. She was right. The betrayal that should have destroyed me had actually freed me from a toxic relationship I hadn't even realized I was trapped in. What's the latest on Sarah and David? Rebecca asked. Sarah moved back in with her parents after being evicted from our old apartment. Last I heard, she's working at some small marketing firm in the suburbs, a far cry from her previous job. And David? Completely disappeared from our social circle. Carlos kept his word about cutting contact. Someone told me David moved to Phoenix, probably trying to escape the constant reminders of his choices. Do you feel satisfied with how everything worked out? I considered her question carefully. I don't feel satisfaction in their downfalls, but I don't feel sympathy either. They chose their path, and I chose mine. And you chose well. That weekend, Rebecca and I took a trip to California. As we walked along the beach at sunset, exactly 6 months after what would have been my honeymoon, she stopped and took my hands. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For showing me what real loyalty looks like. For proving that not all men are willing to compromise their values for convenience or excitement. I pulled her close, watching the waves crash against the shore. You know what's funny? I used to think Sarah cheating on me was the worst thing that could happen. Now I realize it was the best thing. How so? It freed me to find something real, something built on honesty and respect instead of convenience and familiarity. Rebecca smiled. So you're grateful to Sarah? In a weird way, yes. She gave me the greatest gift without knowing it. She freed me to find genuine happiness. As we continued walking, I reflected on everything that had happened. The boy who'd left for Bali believing in fairy tale marriages had died there, but the man who'd returned was better equipped for real love. Sarah had taught me the difference between someone who says they love you and someone who actually loves you. David had shown me the difference between a friend and someone who just enjoys your company when it's convenient. But Rebecca? Rebecca had shown me what loyalty, respect, and genuine partnership looked like. I have something to tell you, I said, as we sat on a piece of driftwood, watching the sunset. What's that? I love you, really love you. The kind of love that chooses you every day, not just when it's easy or convenient. She kissed me softly. I love you too, the man you became after everything you survived. 3 months later, when Rebecca moved in with me, I realized Sarah had been right about one thing. I was naive back then, but not in the way she'd meant. I'd been naive to think that settling for someone who didn't truly value me was love. I'd been naive to believe that loyalty was common rather than rare. I'd been naive to think I deserved anything less than complete honesty and respect. But I wasn't naive anymore, and the woman beside me, helping me pack away the last remnants of my old life, represented everything I'd learned about what real love actually looked like. Sarah had destroyed the fantasy. Rebecca had helped me build something real, and for teaching me the difference between the two, I was genuinely grateful.